Good morning, 309. So we left off at a very intense place in the story. If you recall, the end of chapter 54, the girl who left her jeans at the motel came back for them, and Mr. Yao completely humiliated Mia in front of Jason, in front of everyone. But one good thing did come of this, and that's that her parents were able to sneak out the Chinese immigrants before Mr. Yao found out that they were hiding them in the motel. That would have been terrible. So let's read to find out what's happening. I mean, I feel like this definitely has to be the climax of the story. Things cannot possibly get worse for Mia. Or can they? Chapter 55. I thought the whole point of having customers fill in their address was so you can mail them their stuff back in case they left it behind, Mr. Yao said after the girl and her mom laughed. Wasn't that your idea? I couldn't speak. The humiliation had burned a hole in my tongue. I vowed never to talk to him again. My parents slipped back in through the back door and joined us. Where'd you guys go? Mr. Yao asked. You guys missed the whole thing. In all his excitement over the jeans, he had completely forgotten about the immigrants in room 6. I looked up at my mom and could tell from her face that they were safe. My mom would never know the price I paid for their safety. So Mia had to be completely humiliated for this to happen. Jason knew. The whole time his dad was interrogating me, he had been looking out the window. He saw my parents knock on room 6's door. He saw them sneaking the immigrants out of their rooms and out the back. He saw the whole thing. But he never said anything. Dear Jason, thank you for not saying anything to your dad. I don't know why, but you didn't. Maybe you're not so bad after all. Your friend, crossed out classmate, Mia. I stared at the last part. Maybe you're not so bad after all. My grandmother used to say that people don't change. Our heart is like a rubber band. It might stretch a little, but eventually it snaps right back. I'm not sure if I believe that. Part of me did. We were talking about Jason here, the same kid who took my pencil and licked it. The other part of me, though, wondered. So, a lot of her life, people have been telling Mia that people don't change. That's what Mia's grandmother has tried to teach her. And Mia doesn't feel that way because she has seen people change and people be different. Like right now, Jason did not tell on them when he easily could have. There used to be a time when I let my cousins walk all over me. They were all boys and I was the only girl. And in China, girls are kind of like spare tires. It's nice if you have one, but they're not important. Even my grandmother, whom I loved and missed so much, believed this. She believed it like she believed the sky was blue, like it was a fact. Girls were just not as useful as boys. So in China, this is a big social issue where families want to have boys instead of girls, and girls aren't treated the same. She never came out and said this, of course, but she'd have little ways of showing it, like always putting the best dishes in front of my cousins at family dinners and not me. She'd pat their heads and tell them to eat up before the dish got cold, and I'd watch as they snatched and grabbed the food with their greedy chopsticks until there were hardly any more pieces of chicken left for me, only burnt onions. One day, I picked up my chopsticks and started grabbing back. I snagged chicken, shrimp, whatever I could pick up with my chopsticks and hoarded it all in my mouth. Again, we see that Mia is very bold. She was standing up for herself. Hey, Shen complained. Not fair. We weren't close then, and I narrowed my eyes at him. So this is her best cousin, Shen. Seems like they weren't always best friends. As I picked up my chopsticks to reach for more food, Shen blocked my chopsticks with his. Our chopsticks collided like swords. The two of us held them in position, neither willing to back down. It went on like this the next night and the night after that. Eventually, our chopsticks wars got so bad, my grandmother had to use her own chopsticks to draw a line in the food and declare one side mine and the other side Shen's. From then on, every dish had a line. I remember countless birthdays, Chinese New Year's, everything had a line. Wow, seems like a lot of time passed where they had to draw a line. Then one day I looked down and the line was gone. My grandmother had forgotten to draw it. I waited for Shen to take the first piece of chicken, and he waited for me. Neither of us grabbed. Neither of us hoarded. Somehow, we'd gone from food enemies to friends. Neither of us knew when it had happened. We just knew we no longer needed the line. Huh. So notice how Shen used to hoard all the food before Mia could get any, and he changed. So Mia has had a lot of instances in her life where people have changed and have become better. And I think that that's one lesson that Mia's trying to teach us, that people can absolutely change and be better and be different. I thought about that and how maybe people do change as I thought about Jason. I didn't end up giving the letter to Jason. I was going to, but for some reason I just didn't. You know how sometimes you raise your hand, but when the teacher finally calls on you, you pretend you are only tucking your hair? Hey, do you guys do that to us? It was kind of like that. As the first of the spring flowers bloomed, I tried to forget the painful memory of the jeans. It helped that I had Hank and Lupe to distract me, and the mailman. Every time he came, I thought about the contest. I thought, this is it. Today's the day my life's gonna change. But the letter from Vermont did not arrive. Other unexpected news did arrive, though, which completely shook up our world. Mr. Yao was selling the motel. My parents' face turned white. The temperature in the room plummeted as Mr. Yao told them the news. A real estate deal for him in Nevada had gone bad, and he needed a cash injection. So what does that mean for us? My parents asked him. You? Mr. Yao asked. He snorted, like it hadn't occurred to him at all. Then he shrugged. Depends on what the new owner wants to do with you. He said it like we were inventory, freely disposable, along with the washer and dryer. So Mr. Yao, he doesn't even care about what happens to the Tang family. He doesn't care if they have a job or if they're homeless or what. All he cares about is selling the motel so he can get some cash. Lupe told me not to worry. Motels weren't like houses. They took ages to sell. There's a whole inspection process and everything, she said. I'm sure you guys are going to be out of here before Mr. Yao even finds a buyer. Have you told your parents about the essay contest yet? No, I said. I didn't know what it was about me and secrets. Once I had one, I just couldn't let it go. I would feed it and snuggle it, and it would grow and grow inside me until it took on a life all its own. So, no, I hadn't told my parents. I'd been too busy imagining the look of surprise on their face to actually surprise them. They're gonna freak when you win, Lupe said with a smile. So nice to have a friend like Lupe who really believes in you. My parents did freak, but not over my winning the contest. They were freaking out over who the new motel owner was going to be. Oh God, what if he hates Chinese people? My mother asked, biting down on her nail. Or if he wants to run it himself, my father said. Should we look for another job? My mom asked. What should we do? My parents paced the living room, fretting and panicking, while I sat quietly in the corner. That was the problem with keeping a secret. You're all alone on your own little island. Have you ever thought about how nice it would be if we owned a motel? I asked. I kind of just threw it out there. My dad laughed. That would be nice, he said. He looked into the distance and let himself imagine for a second. We wouldn't have to work every single day. We can take Sundays off together as a family. We could all go swimming, my mom added. I'd love to jump in that pool. Me too, I said. I'd love to get some sleep, my dad said. If we own the motel, I could put up a sign that says, sorry, I'm sleeping. Come back in the morning. A smile played at his lips as he pictured how extraordinary life would be if he could sleep through the night. Then his smile faded, and reality set in. Maybe in another life, he said, picking up his broom. Seems like Dad's feeling pretty hopeless about their situation. I shook my head. No, Dad, not in another life, I said. In this life. Our eyes locked. A second passed, and then another, and then I whispered my secret. She's telling her parents. I really wonder how her parents are going to react. What do you think? How are Mia's parents going to react when she tells them that she entered the contest to win a motel? Go to Google Classroom, answer today's question, and don't forget to reply to a classmate.